This is Furmark running on the virtual machine, 3785. Okay, so it's like around more than 95% efficiency, which is really acceptable. So this is the score after the benchmark have completed, 1642. So I've installed Windows on the machine, on the Baremetal machine, just to demonstrate what is the difference between running benchmarks such as 3D Mark on the Baremetal machine and against running it under a virtualized machine and passing through the GPU to the virtualized machine. So I've done this test before and the efficiency was about 96% in the number of points that have been reached between 3D Mark before virtualization on the Baremetal machine and after the virtualization. So it was hitting around 9,000 something points on the Baremetal machine and around 8,500, something like that. So I'll run the test on this machine right now on the ASRock 399 X399 motherboard with the Threadripper 1950X. So you can see it's running the physical machine right now. You can see the main board is the ASRock X399. It's not the virtual machine. And the disk is the physical disk itself. So I'll run this test. Okay. So this is the beauty of running the virtual machine. You can run up to 4 virtual machines on this motherboard, each with its own dedicated GPU, and still you're getting around 96% efficiency per virtual machine, so that will be amazing. So when I've done the test before, I even have reduced the number of threads and number of cores. So the dedicated machine was having only 4 cores, 8 threads, yes, and the physical machine is currently, as you see, it's 32 cores. But running 3D Mark does not need all these cores anyway. So I'm just saying, if you are like having an application of deep learning or gaming or any general use of the machine, you won't notice any difference between the physical machine and the virtual machine, unless if you have any application which will consume all the 32 cores, 32 threads all at once, and that will be a rare case. But anyways, you can also manage the load between the virtual machines. You can assign as many cores as you want, and the Baremetal layer will handle the resource management between all the machines. So I'm now ready to launch 3D Mark. I'll close everything else. Okay, I'll install the default TimeSpy benchmark. So this is my old machine. I'm not running it on this monitor right now. I'm connected to the new machine which I am assembling, and this is connected to the monitor. So I'm doing all my experiments on this machine right now. I just removed the AMD card from my old machine. So this old machine is an X399 motherboard and a 1950X CPU also. It's running on ASRock Zenith Extreme motherboard. It's a little bit higher in terms of specs and features. Like, for example, it has the what can I say? Yeah, it has the 10 gigabit Ethernet card free coming with it, but I don't say that this is like an advantage. I think they took the $100 extra as a cost from the motherboard. But the build quality itself, you will notice it's a little bit better on the Zenith Extreme, and there is a gigabit Ethernet in the back. There are more USB ports in the back. and there is a 5 volt RGB header, but that's not something to brag about. And what else you can say? The ASRock, anyways, the ASRock X399 is a useful motherboard for the case of virtualization and using it for Proxmox and using it for your own network area storage and gaming machine and many multiple virtual machines running on it. It's much better, I think, on the X399 of ASRock because of the value. First, it's cheaper. The second reason is that it comes with a dual gigabit Ethernet, so that's useful if you also want to make your machine run as a router for the home. So you can have a router, network area storage, gaming machine, surveillance machine, smart home machine, all at once when you're doing the virtualization. Okay, I'm just running a Furmark test since I don't know what's wrong with 3D Mark. Does not like the hardware, I think. Okay, so these are the points. Okay, let's test again with the virtualized computer once we finish the install. I faced one weird issue in the RGB LED application. It wasn't able to start, so I had to flash the BIOS of the RGB LED. I ran this command after installing it. I found it on the ASRock forum, this fix, and the RGB LED application is now running. There are no issues in it. So it is running fine now. I'm going to show you one trick for backing up and restoring drives. So this is actually 32 GBs backed up, and this is the trick: a USB-C drive with an NVMe drive inside. So this is a good trick for you to back up and restore files or whole drives very fast. Alright, so to install Proxmox, I need to prepare a flash drive, and I've downloaded the Proxmox ISO from the Proxmox OS website. It's version 6, and then to flash it into the USB as per the manual, the documentation of Proxmox, you need to flash it using Etcher. Etcher is a tool to flash any image into a USB drive, and I've used it before for Raspberry Pi and Jetson Nano, so it seems to be like a universal tool for flashing images into SD cards and USB drives. Alright, so I'll install Etcher, and then I'll flash the Proxmox ISO using Ballerina Etcher, and then boot Proxmox for installation. So I'm flashing Etcher. I have some old USB lying around. It's a bit slow, that old USB, but I don't really need a fast USB for that. I'll just keep this USB drive always with Proxmox whenever I need it. Now I'll start installing Proxmox. So now I'll start installing Proxmox. I'll boot into the drive. So install Proxmox. Okay, so we greeted by this, I agree, fine. Install it on the drive. There's any options? No options. Okay, next. Okay, type your country. Next. Choose a password, so I'll choose some password here. So I'll continue installing Proxmox. It's always you need to use the Wi-Fi, the LAN interface, physical interface, because the Wi-Fi is not so easy to do a bridge on it. So just choose. Not sure if it's 4 or 6. I'll choose the first interface. Okay. 1.1. Seven. 1.1. 9.2.6.8.1. Okay. 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 Now to install Proxmox. So the reason why I choose Proxmox, there are many ways to install a virtualized host machine, virtualization host machine. You can install VMware ESXi, but the community edition is very limited, and you cannot. I think you cannot pass through GPUs. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. The other option is to install the plain KVM yourself on any machine, Linux, preferably Debian or Ubuntu. But that will be very complex to deal with it without easy GUI, and you have to install many tools by yourself, and it will take a lot of configuration. The third option is to install Proxmox packages on Debian. I didn't try that, but it's supposed to be the same experience. But I went ahead and installed the OS image from Proxmox directly, because I'm sure that they will do all the correct configuration required on this CD image, ISO image. So I don't have to figure out lots of things myself. So reboot and go into browser. Okay, fine. I'll try to access Proxmox from any laptop or any other machine after it reboots. So let me bring my laptop. So Proxmox is starting up now. I'll try to access the IP of Proxmox. 92168.171. I think port 8006. Okay, 8006, and that's HTTPS. Let's see if it's running. Okay, it's running. Just giving me a invalid certificate warning, and then here it is, it's running. Now, there are many things to do. I need to create some virtual machines, one for Dockers, one for security cameras, one for Windows general usage and gaming and deep learning, and one for smart home. That is in the Dockers itself, actually, for the smart home. So there are two options. Either you keep it as a plain console, you don't access it except from the console. You can enable SSH also and access it from any other machine. But what I will do, there's another option. Developers usually prefer it, that the host OS, it's actually Debian based, so I can run some simple tools on it. It's actually not preferred to install many things on the host machine. You don't want to interrupt your virtual environment, but it's an option and it's a useful option. You can just install any GUI based platform like GNOME. And GNOME is the best. I tested many. I tested KDE. I tested many other GUIs, and there were some quirks, and especially that I have a 4K LCD monitor, so GNOME works best with it. So I'll first go ahead and install GNOME, and I think I'll have to install some tools like Nano, curl, basic tools just for troubleshooting. So I'll log in now and I'll return to the video. Okay, so I found that I can just access SSH. There's no tools needed to be installed. Proxmox virtual environment comes out of the box with SSH enabled, and that's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. So it's a good thing because you can just directly install whatever you want remotely. And a bad thing, you need to close the SSH port whenever you don't need it, or just try not to expose it outside. Don't ever think of opening this SSH port, the port of it through the router or anything. Just keep it within your local network. Okay. First of all, you just want to install some tools like as I said before, if you want, you can install the whole GUI and use it as a development machine, or use it to monitor your virtual machines, and it'll be easier to just access the host machine with the GUI. So there is a guide from Proxmox itself on how to install GNOME Proxmox dev. So I'll run these commands. Okay, so I just want a GNOME, so I'll replace XFCE4. I'll replace it with GNOME. Okay, yes. So I'll let it go ahead and install. Now for I want to create a Windows virtual machine. This is the first part of the guide. I'll create a Windows virtual machine for accessing for gaming, for deep learning, for any general application, to make it like to use it as your main personal computer, along with the other virtual machines. So one additional virtual machine I did not mention is that I want to install a FreeNAS virtual machine to use it as your network area storage. And just it came to my mind that you can also opt for one more option for virtualization. You can buy Unraid. It does not cost much. It's quite a good option, but I like the open source alternatives. and I like the full control of your machine. Whatever tools you want to install from open source community, you can install it. So I don't want to be restricted with Unraid with their own file system, their own network area storage solutions. I like FreeNAS, or maybe you can go for any other network area storage solution. Yeah, there are alternatives to FreeNAS, like I think it's called Open Media Vault. It's quite a good option too, but I personally prefer FreeNAS. It's it's active in development, and I just know that the initiator, the creator of FreeNAS himself, he have created Open Media Vault, and now FreeNAS is being maintained by a company called IXA System, I think. So, in short, just I prefer FreeNAS, so I'll go for it. Okay, so it's saying select your display manager. So I installed LightDM. I'll just use LightDM. Okay, so I to fo- you can follow a guide for the first part where I just need to install the Windows virtual machine. There is a very good guide on Reddit. It's just a little bit outdated because Proxmox 6 requires some different parameters. Okay, I'll post these parameters in the description. You can use them. Okay, so just it's quite funny. It's called idiot guide Proxmox Reddit pass. Okay, did he remove the word idiot? Yeah. Okay. Uh, it's a little bit of concern. So it's not just for it's not for idiots. If you're doing this type of work, you're not an idiot for sure. So it's just a funny way to say it's very user friendly guide to install to create one Windows 10 virtual machine with the pass-through configuration of the graphic card. Okay, so he's posting his hardware. Our hardware is quite more dated. It's up to date, quite more up to date, and it's more powerful. It's very good that there are other options for the hardware. You can go for lower specs and still your environment will work, and that's good for targeting all segments. Okay, so uh, yeah, he's preferring this version of Windows, but I don't prefer it. If you want to use the Windows Store to install games, or you want to like use it for VR, virtual reality, all these things are not available in the LTSC version of Windows. So it's better to use the normal version of Windows 10, preferably the Pro version, so you can access it remotely with RDP. You will need to access it remotely many times throughout the guide. So Windows 10 Professional is recommended. Okay, so first he's saying to configure grab, yeah. So there are some options where you need to enable the IOMMU. You need to enable it first in the BIOS itself. So make sure you enable that there first. It's very easy. It's straightforward. It's called IOMMU in the BIOS. Just enable it. And if there is another option like virtualization or VTD, just enable it. Okay. Uh, so I'll just change the command line to add this word. Okay. Okay. I think Nano is not installed. Ah, yeah, it is installed. That's good. Okay. So okay, let's open up the script file. Nano. Yeah. What do we need to change? Okay, use this. Grab CMD default. Okay, also just add next to quiet, add AMD IOMMU, since we are using the Threadripper build, so it's AMD based. Okay. There are some additional commands. No, I tried before. I didn't need all of that. Okay. I need to do one more thing. I have to shut down the machine because I need to install back my AMD RX 550 card. I removed it because I thought it was causing trouble for 3D Mark. So I'll just exit and shut down. Okay. Is it shutting now? It'll shut down in 1 minute. So I'll just install the card and I'll get back to you. So the machine is rebooted. Now we'll continue the steps. Just I need to edit the grub file. And add next to quiet. Add IOMMU on. Okay, and exit, save, yes. Now need to update grub. Fine, update grub. Okay. Need to add these modules. So edit this file, add these modules. Save. Exit. Okay. Now there are two steps. I'm not sure about what do they do exactly, but they have to be done. Let's do them. Okay. Okay. Now you need to blacklist the AMD drivers. So I'll blacklist the AMD drivers here. Oh no, sorry. Blacklist the NVIDIA drivers. So I can forward the NVIDIA 1080 Ti graphic card into the Windows machine. Pass through the machine, the graphic card. Okay, so I blacklisted the NVIDIA drivers. Now I need to run this command to add the GPU to VFIO. Okay. First list. Those are the IOMMU modules. Okay. Then I need to look for the NVIDIA addresses. Okay. So where is NVIDIA? NVIDIA 1, NVIDIA 2. This is the graphic card, and this is the audio driver coming through the HDMI and DisplayPort. So I have to add both. Okay, so I'll take the address of these two. Okay. not this one. Okay, so what I need to do, place of, so I'll add this and add the GPU. Okay. Okay, I need to note down. What do I need to note down exactly? The vendor ID codes. Okay, 1. Okay, now I should output the GPU program. Fine, this is done. Now I need to put this command and add the vendor IDs in the middle. Fine. Paste and replace those with the vendor IDs that I got. Okay, that's done. Now we need to run this command. Okay, let's run this command. Then just reset, restart. Okay. Then reset. Reboot. Okay. Now I'll need to create a Windows 10 virtual machine. That's quite easy to do. One thing to notice after installing GNOME, so now you can boot into the GUI based environment and you can use the Linux which is in the host machine. I'll just continue the guide through the SSH terminal. You don't need to do all these steps in the GUI itself. Went to some trouble now. I'm not able to boot into the Debian GUI, but I am able to access it through SSH. I've already put the first GPU 1080 Ti in PCI slot 1 and the AMD GPU in slot 4, so I'll swap them. They're both 16x, so no performance, there's no issues in performance. It will not sacrifice any performance. I'll just put the 1080 Ti in slot 4 so that I'll make the AMD GPU the primary one once it boots up the PC. So I've swapped the location of the GPUs. You can see the AMD GPU is on the top now and the GTX 1080 is in the bottom, and things are back to normal. Now I can boot into Debian again. So I think you cannot put the primary GPU on the third slot or anything other than the first slot, and that is fine, no issues. Okay, now Proxmox is restarted. Just open the Proxmox GUI, the web-based GUI. So it was 171. The username is root, and enter whatever password you did. I'll pause here. Okay, so I've logged in. This is the Proxmox environment. Need to create one virtual machine. Okay, let's follow the guide because there are some specific options you need to choose. Okay, so first create a virtual machine as usual, but I didn't upload my Windows 10 ISO into the machine, so I'll just upload it here. Windows, it's not here. Yeah, just download it from the Windows site, Microsoft site. Okay. Probably whatever Windows you downloaded before, whatever ISO image you downloaded before, for sure it's outdated. They keep on updating their Windows build every week. Just want to download the ISO. Yes. ISO file. Next. Okay, I'll download it. Update version. Yeah, I'll pause the video here while it downloads. So now we're back into business. Blacklists are fine. I didn't change anything in that. We'll create the virtual machine. Oh, again, I'll put the password. So now I want to upload the Windows ISO image, which I just downloaded now. I think into documents. Okay, upload. It's going through Wi-Fi, so it's a little bit slower than usual. Okay, now I can create the virtual machine. Okay, let's see, any specific configuration? VirtIO. I do have VirtIO on, so I have it here. Go back here and upload VirtIO. Okay, I'll not upload it now, later. Okay. Okay, it's not saying to choose anything specific, it wants to update it later. Okay. So Q35, it wants the UEFI and local LVM and VirtIO SCSI. Okay, single. Okay, card. I'll choose it later. Next, IDE. Make it 128 GB. Next, CPU. I'll make it with 8 cores. Host. Why did it log out? Okay, I'll pause and look. Okay, next. Doesn't require any specific configuration. These are outdated. If you put them, they will not work. You have to put a newer one. Okay. Next. Memory. I want it as 12 GB. 12 and 1024. Ballooning. Disable ballooning. I don't want. Next. You have to disable ballooning so that NVIDIA won't detect the machine as a virtual machine. Okay. Now I'll choose also VirtIO. Bridge fault 1. Next. And confirm. Okay. Now I can start that machine. Let me rename it. It's already renamed. Okay. Start. says don't start your VM. Okay, is there anything I should have done? I think I need to install Windows first, and then I can add the GPU. Okay, if I try to open the console to the VM, I have to change the boot order. Okay, I'll do that. Stop. Just stop it. Yes. Okay, I have to go into hardware, change the boot order. CD-ROM, Part2, network. Okay, I can start. I think I have to first add the machine, right? I have to add the machine. Okay, stop. I have to add the GPU from now to install the drivers. Okay, enable UEFI done. Edit the VM config file. Okay, VM ID is 100. Okay, let's edit it. Let me not add these things now because I already chose Q35. It should work. I think I need this, but okay, let me add this then, because this will trick NVIDIA into not detecting that this is a virtual machine, and it will not go into error 43 whenever it's trying to search for the drivers. The driver will not start, and if you check the driver information, it will tell you that it's reporting error 43. So I'll explain what is that error 43, what does it mean. First, let me edit the file. Oh. Okay, let me add this to args. Let me check my own machine args, because I already gone to this trouble before, and I'll just copy paste it and I'll give it to you. I'll just save your time on that. Okay, so let's go to sessions. Okay, let me pause here. So these are the arguments that made it work properly for me. You need to do the same. Just add them. Okay, yes. Anything else special? Ballooning already disabled. BIOS, let's compare them. Same BIOS, boot. Okay, I need to remove the network from the boot. It's better. Cores. Okay, let me just remove the network from the boot. Boot disk, okay. Part2, CPU. Anything else special? Nothing special. Okay, close. Yes. Now go back to Proxmox. So session disabled again. Pause the video. Okay, I'll continue the guide. Now this is done, and add the GPU. Okay, let's add the GPU. Summary. Hardware, add PCI device, the GPU. Where is the GPU? I think it was here. NVIDIA Corporation here. Add PCI Express, all function, primary GPU. I think I need to go here, add PCI all functions, ROM bar, yes, primary GPU, no, okay, primary GPU, no. Let's go to primary GPU, no, okay. PCI Express, yes. This is done. Now, add the GPU. This is optional. I didn't need it before and it worked fine. Now we'll start the VM. Okay, let's start it. Console. Press any key. Yes, yes, yes. It's running Windows. Okay. Next, install. No key for now. Windows Pro. So you can log into RDP. Next. Accept. Next. Custom. Okay, now I need to load the VirtIO drivers. To go to the CD, change the CD-ROM to VirtIO. I don't have VirtIO, let me upload it. Where is VirtIO? It was in the flash drive. Proxmox, VirtIO, upload. So, okay, next, go to the machine, change the CD-ROM to VirtIO, and search for drivers. Driver, yes, yes. Scan. Should search all the subfolders. Okay, let me browse. Open AMD 64 Windows 10. Okay, VirtIO. Next. Okay, now I'll create a new volume. Yes. And install Windows in the main volume. I have to change the CD-ROM again back to Windows. This issue have taken me maybe half an hour before, and at the end I realized I just have to put the Windows CD-ROM again. Silly me. So I'll pause and I'll set the Windows CD. Okay, change it back to Windows. Okay, where is it? console. Okay. Next. Now, whilst installing, I'll explain what is error 43. So, NVIDIA doesn't want consumers to use the GTX cards inside a virtual machine. This is not intended for consumer use. But since we like to create home labs and we want to make benefit of this virtualization in the home rather than buying many machines for multiple purposes, want to have one machine that has everything. So for that reason, we consumers need that, and NVIDIA is not allowing us to do so. So once NVIDIA detects that a virtual machine is running, it will block the driver and it will run into error 43 mode in Windows. So that was implemented from last 2 years maybe. So if you download a very old driver, it will not happen. But we don't want to download an old driver. So rather than doing that, you need to change some configurations in Proxmox to avoid error 43 from NVIDIA. So basically, you need to let NVIDIA think that the running machine is a physical machine, it's not a virtual machine. To do that, you need to set the motherboard or the hardware to Q35, and you need to add the arguments that we added before, and you need to disable ballooning. So if you do all of that, NVIDIA cannot detect this machine as a virtual machine, and hopefully it will not detect it again in the future. And I'm sure if anything happens from NVIDIA in the future, the community will find out a way to make it work again. So NVIDIA, please, we consumers really need this feature. Don't block it from us. And we don't want to buy Quadro cards. So NVIDIA is trying to let us buy Quadro cards for virtualization. Quadro cards are like double or triple or quadruple the price of GTX cards with the same features. But there are some additional benefits in Quadro cards, and we as consumers don't need them for now. But we really need only this feature. Now, AMD, on the other hand, they did not disable the running the card on under a virtualized machine. But they have some other issues, like something called reset issue, but I'm not pretty aware about it. I did not try it. And unfortunately, AMD is not good for deep learning frameworks like TensorFlow, Keras. So we're stuck with NVIDIA, and this is the way how to make it work, just to change the configuration of the virtual machine. So it's getting ready, it will install everything. So if you want to create the next step is to create a FreeNAS virtual machine. If you want to create a FreeNAS virtual machine, that is possible. You just need to forward or pass through the hard disk drives into the FreeNAS virtual machine. There is one guide to do that, but I'll not go into details now. I'll let it be for the next step. So now Windows is booting up. Hopefully we can install the driver with no issues. Once we install it, we want to disable the default GPU in Proxmox so that we cannot access it again through console. And we'll access it directly from the GPU itself. Okay. US, yes. Okay. Arabic. Next. Okay, I forgot to add the VFIO network driver, so I'll do that. Continue. User. Next. Next. It's not really good to enable all of that. Okay, maybe I'll change it later. So one more issue is we need to load the network driver. Again, it's timed out. So let's change the CD-ROM back again to VirtIO and go to the Windows machine, and let's set up the network driver. Browse my driver, put it here. Next. Yeah, found it. Next. Okay, yes. So it's now connected to network. I really didn't want to do this. I don't know why I pressed yes. Skip. Close. Close. Okay, now we'll install the NVIDIA drivers. Download it. Okay. Save. Let it download. So when setting up these drivers, it might work, or it might not. So we need to troubleshoot further if it does not working. There might be error 43 or some other errors might appear. Run the driver installation. So now it found the driver for GeForce GTX 1080 Ti. I'm wondering why it's not displaying here. Oh yeah, it's disabled. Is it error 43? Oh, I have to restart the machine. Okay, I'll restart the machine. You want to restart now? No, no, no. Did it finish? Did you finish? Okay, I'll just go ahead and restart the machine. I have to shut it down. I have to close it so that it doesn't detect it's in a virtual environment. Okay. I think it might work, it might not. Let's see. I'll enter the password again. So let's see, did it work? It won't boot because you have to disable the default driver. I don't think it will work. So now I have to force stop the machine. Okay. And I have to go to display, graphic card, just remove the default graphic card, remove it. How to remove it? Just I'll change it to VFIO GPU or none, just none. Okay, start it again. Now it should work. If I go to the physical machine itself, I should see the GPU starting up. I'll pause here. So I did two mistakes. First, I should have enabled RDP before doing anything. Second thing, I think I have to make it the primary GPU before starting it, since I did this mistake. Primary GPU, yes, start, and I'll see if it works. So I'll not try to hot plug it, I'll just stop the machine and the USB device, vendor, Logitech, USB receiver, start. Let's see. Okay, I'll remove the due session timed out again. So I'll remove the graphic card, make the display back to default, start again. Boot into the machine, man. Okay, boot it again. Please don't get stuck. Okay, so now I have to enable RDP. That's gone. So let's enable RDP. Remove it. Allow. I think I have to add a password for the username so that I can access it remotely. Okay, I'll try to see if I have access to it without password. Let me see what's the IP. 88. Okay, let's try to access it remotely. More choices. User. I should specify a password. Okay, I have to look this up. Okay, found it, create a password, so I'll just create any password. Okay, so I've created the password, now let's try to access it. Okay, so now it's created, I can access it remotely. No issues. Okay, now I can add the graphic card back again. Shut down the machine. And let's add the graphic card. Let's add the card again. The display. Shall I start it now? Yes. I already installed the driver, it should work. So theoretically, I should be able to access it remotely now. It's running. Yeah. Is it really running? Should be. So I'm not able to access it again. Did it get stuck? So if it got stuck here, can I access it from RDP? So I'm suspecting one more issue now. Maybe after I swap the cards, the hardware ID got changed. Let's see. Or maybe I need to load the BIOS. Try both. But it booted into Windows. It didn't start up Windows only. I could see the machine. You go to the machine itself. See what I can do. So I've added standard VGA or maybe just like the default, whatever. and I kept the PCI Express card and started again. It does display the boot sequence in the main machine itself, in the connected monitor, but you can also connect through the console. It will get stuck in the monitor, but it should continue booting in the uh, console through the default VGA. Should. Let's see what will happen. Still trying to boot. Am I able to log in remotely also? No. So it just gets stuck now. Unless if I remove the PCI Express card. Perhaps I have to add the ROM file for the PCI Express card itself. I had an extract of this ROM file in the Baremetal Windows machine through GPU-Z. So let me load that and try to boot it again. It might work. So one more thing I did, I tried to match all the settings of both the configuration file of the QEMU server config file. I found one difference in the CPU configuration. I had to put it as hidden PCI ID, so I did that, and theoretically everything should be working fine, because my old machine I did these settings and everything is working just fine with the GTX 1080 Ti, and I did not load a custom BIOS or the dumped BIOS file from the VGA. So I'll go through this installation. It should work. If there's any problems, then I'll just what should I do? Then I'll just dump the ROM file. I'll just download the dump that I had before for this GPU, colorful 1080 Ti GPU, and I'll load it into the virtual machine, and it should work. So let's see, it will boot. It should boot. I did disable the main GPU, or maybe I put the default. I don't remember. It's booting up now. Can I access the console? No, I cannot access the console. Keeps on loading. So I'll see what will happen. Hopefully it did restart by itself around twice, and it just worked. So I think this is a new way to do it. Usually you should boot into the machine, install the drivers, then disable the default display. But this is working. So I'll go through the steps. Hopefully everything will be fine. I did install the network driver this time, so it will ask me these online options. I'll pause it here, so rest of the setup is normal for Windows. So it's getting things ready. It will take some time. I'm wondering if it already identified the GeForce card inside. I'll see that in the device manager once it boots up. So it suddenly did not display anything after that. It failed, I think, now. And fans are wrapping up quite quickly. I'll see what happens. Noticed one more thing, the machine, instead of Q35, just make it this value. Forgot to do that. So that was the trick. The machine name was wrong, and once it got corrected, everything is working fine. I suppose also in the other way you can just log in to the machine through RDP and do the required changes. So drivers are identified without any issues. I'll just install the NVIDIA graphics driver because the fans of the GPU is wrapping up to 100%. I don't know why, so I'll check. Try to install the driver, maybe the fans will not wrap up like that again to 100%. I think these are 100%. And if the issue is still there, then I'll just load the BIOS of the GPU and then hopefully it should work. Now, it seems I've discovered another way to install Windows, so you can just connect your DisplayPort or HDMI port and do all the configurations beforehand and disable the main GPU in the Proxmox. Disable the default GPU, just keep the pass-through GPU and do the whole Windows installation directly. This is another way to do it, but mainly in all the other threads how they explain to do it is to add your GPU and everything, but just don't make it primary and don't connect the monitor. Install Windows through the console of Proxmox and then install the drivers of NVIDIA. Make sure it doesn't go to error 43 and then remove the main default the default display from Proxmox, or just install the NVIDIA drivers. I think it will, once it detects the other display driver from Proxmox, it will go to error 43 and then you remove the main driver and make sure you enable RDP before doing any further steps. Once you just install Windows, and note down your IP and the username and make sure password is set, and then access it remotely and make sure the driver is installed and no error 43 is there. Then remove the main display and restart the machine. Everything should work fine. But that's just another way to do it, and it just worked with me. Hopefully you'll get benefit from this other way to just directly install in the Windows itself, in the main monitor itself. It's working fine now and the fans are running normally. I can even see the GPU temperature is getting detected without issues. So GPU temperature is 42. I don't know about the RPM, why it's 0, but the fans are running normally. This is what we want. I'll try to run Furmark, 3D Mark, and see if everything is running fine without any issues. So what I've done is just I've shut down the virtual machine after installing the NVIDIA drivers and waited for the fans to go down to normal speed and then started up again the virtual machine. Everything went out fine and the fan is running without without any pressure like before. It used to run at around 100% maybe. Now it's fine. So I'll run the 3D Mark test after the virtualization and I want to compare the speed difference. Apparently the fans are not running. GPU fans usually don't run at all unless if it's really required. So I'll see if Furmark test makes it run back again or not. Hopefully it does. This is Furmark running in the virtual machine. Let's see, the GPU core Is it going high? 60. Yes, and the fans are running again. Fans at 32%. Okay, so this is a successful test, means everything is working just fine. Fans are ramping up only when required, not like before. Let's see how many marks will it get after the virtualization is implemented. It should get the same. It was about 3,800 last time. How much is it now? 3,785. Okay, so it's like around more than 95% efficiency, which is really acceptable. I'll calculate the actual score after I check the video. I decided I'll just run Unigine Heaven instead of going through all these issues with 3D Mark. The Unigine Heaven is running at 4K, and this is the virtual machine with 32 threads enabled and with the GPU pass-through. So these are the scores for the virtual machine. I may later run back to the physical machine since I have an image of it and run the same test just to compare what's the difference in the score. So one more thing I forgot to do, if you want to use the actual GNOME GUI on the Debian OS, which is having Proxmox, you need to create first a user, and if you want you can add sudo for that user, because if you try to log in with the root account on GNOME desktop, some applications will not work properly, just like for example Chrome will not work properly on the root user. So let's add a new user. If you need any guide on how to do something on the Proxmox OS, you just follow the guide for any Debian. Just go check any tutorial on Debian. So it says first to add the user. So add user admin, and I'll give him sudo. I don't think sudo is installed, so I think I have to install it. What about the password? Okay, let me add the user to sudo group, but I don't think sudo is installed by default. New password. Okay, I should enter the password. So let me do that. Okay, so let me add the user to sudo. Sudo is installed. It's good. Okay, so I will just try once to log in with that user. Okay, so let me try to do sudo. Sudo is not installed. Okay, so you need to install sudo. I think you need to install it on the root user. Install sudo debian. Okay, apt get install sudo. I think I have to do that on the root user. It will not work here. Okay, so I'll log out again and log in with the root user. Okay, it's already saved. That's good. Now I'll install sudo. So it's done. Try to log in with the other user. Okay, sudo nano password for admin. Okay, it's working fine. Now I can log into the GNOME UI using the admin username I just created. So now I'll boot into the Proxmox environment itself. So now I'll boot into the Proxmox environment itself. It should show me the GNOME login screen or the Light DM login screen. Well, it's not doing that. There are two possibilities. Either the issue is in the I should connect the display port, or the issue is I have to disable the graphic card properly. You connect the display port. So no display. Okay, let me try to restart again. But before that, let me just try to connect the other VGA card. No display. Okay, both have no display. Turn it on again. I think the issue was the display port. Okay. So I connected to HDMI again, and GNOME is opening. So I'll enter the username and password. Okay, the first thing to do is the screen DPI is very low. Very high, I think. I don't know what they call that, but I need to increase the screen scaling. So I'll open the display options and make the scaling either 200% or 300%. 1% is fine. Okay, now I'll just need to make sure that the power saving is disabled, because I ran into this issue before where Proxmox was getting stuck every half an hour or so, and the issue was the computer was going into sleep mode. The hypervisor is going to sleep mode, so for sure all your virtual machines will crash. So you need to disable this. Okay? And when power button is pressed, power off. But you should do nothing actually, but I have a case where I need this machine to be powered off in case of pressing the power button. Okay, everything is fine. Okay, so this is the host machine. Whenever I want, I can open it and do, for example, open any browser. Or does it come with Firefox? It it comes with Chromium. Great. Okay. Now I can access Proxmox itself. 8006 from the host OS. Or I can do anything I want on the host OS. Okay, and if you want two machines to run in parallel, you have two options. Either you have two screens and install Synergy, use one keyboard, mouse, and switch and just use the same keyboard and mouse across the two machines, or you can buy a KVM switch and switch between two machines on the same monitor or on two monitors. It's up to you. And use the KVM switch either for switching between the host OSs, either the virtual one or the physical one, Debian or Windows, or you can just keep two screens and use one keyboard and mouse and use the KVM switch just for the keyboard and mouse, for example. Okay, or you can use two machines in parallel. For example, you and your friend or your family member, you can use them both in parallel. Two keyboards, two mice, two monitors. You have two parallel running machines at the same time. And the same, you can go up to 4 machines with this platform. So you have 4 GPUs. Each machine is using a single GPU at a time. So this is the beauty of this virtualization. So from this machine, I can start up the other machine. I will use the mobile app to start up the other machine. There is a nice mobile app called Aprox. You can install it on your mobile phone. I'm using Android. I don't know about iPhone if it's there or not, but it's available on Android. So once you install Aprox, let me look for my mobile. I'm taking a video with my mobile. How silly I am. Okay, so I'll start up the machine with Aprox, then I'll show you how to switch between the machines using the old-fashioned way. I'll just disconnect and reconnect the DisplayPort between the two machines. I ran the virtual machine. Now we can switch between both. So this is the Debian Proxmox OS. Currently I don't have any input control on it because I passed through the USB of the Logitech keyboard and mouse to the machine. So now I can just switch. Let me bring my phone here. So from this machine, which is connected to the RX 550, I can just switch to the GTX 1080 Ti. So once it's connected to it, I am on the Windows machine. So this is the guide for the Windows part and the GPU pass-through and installing Proxmox. So I flashed the Windows 10 image back into the physical machine again, and I'm testing with Unigine Heaven since 3D Mark is not very stable overall with this machine. I'm not sure why. So with Unigine Heaven, I should have a fair comparison between both the physical and the virtual machine. The virtual machine used to get around 3,800 points. So let's see how much this machine will get in the end of the benchmark. So this is the score after the benchmark have completed, 1,642. So I'll compare it with the score of the virtual machine, and I will compare it with the score of the virtual machine and calculate the percentage of the efficiency. I just wanted to show you this app. It's called Aprox. So you can manage multiple Proxmox machines. This is my main machine. It has the Windows machine. It's turned off right now. It has Blue Iris for the security. It has Dockers for smart home applications, It has FreeNAS for the network area storage applications and Plex and what all of the related storage applications. And we have our new machine, which we just set up Windows 10 on it right now. I just started it up from here. So from this application, you can start, stop, and you can open the console. But since this physical machine is using the GPU, you cannot open console, but you can use the other commands. So this is a nice, useful tool for managing your virtual machines while you're away or at home. Hope it can benefit you and can give you some ideas for having a great home lab or home server setup for you for different applications. Let me know in the comments what can I do later to help further. So in the next videos, I'm going to explain further how to create the FreeNAS machine, the Blue Iris machine, and the Docker's machine. But these are relatively easier than the Windows machine because the GPU pass-through part was the hardest part. All the others are relatively easier. Okay. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.